Hello and welcome. In this video, I'm going to be talking about dahlias. They are also pronounced dahlias, but in this video, I'm going to pronounce them dahlias. So I'm going to be talking about digging up dahlias, storing dahlias, and then potting them for the next season. You will actually see that I've got flowers already on my dahlias, though they are not yet outside. Dahlias come in different colors. They flower from May till October, so that's 6 months of flowers, and they just need some deadheading and some staking, and that's about it. Well, in addition to watering like all other plants. I grow dahlias in my border, which is in clay soil, and I also grow them in my raised bed. I leave the ones in the clay soil. I just leave them throughout the winter and they seem to do well. I think they have acclimatized to it. They've gotten used to it. I do dig up the ones in the raised bed, mostly because I usually plant garlic over winter. So I dig those up and I store them for winter. Digging up dahlias is generally recommended so that the dahlia tubers are not sitting in wet soil over winter. It's also good if you would like to multiply your plants, because when you dig up the tubers, you can then divide them. You can divide them at the point of digging them up, or once you're ready to plant them out again in spring. Sometimes if you do leave them in the ground, it's recommended that you mulch on top of them. It can help to store them better. I dug my dahlias up in October and then I left them in the shed to dry. And once they had dried, I usually can tell when they've dried because the soil just comes off them easily. It becomes dry and powdery. So once I can remove the soil from the tubers, I know that they have dried enough. Then I put them in shredded paper and I just store them. Sometimes I store them in the house. This time I stored them in my shed, which is unheated. So I just put them in a box full of shredded paper and I put them outside. I have been storing dahlias this way for 3 years and generally they do well. When I take them out in March, I inspect them. I'm usually looking for signs of rotting. If anything has signs of rotting, I discard it. I also look at the firmness. Firm tubers usually do well. If it's a single tuber, I make sure that it's got a body, which is the tuber, the plump bit. I also make sure that it's got a neck, which is the narrower part above the tuber. And then I also make sure that it's got an eye. An eye is essentially a little bump that shows up on the crown, which is the top part of the neck. So it's a little bump, which is quite distinctive. I get better results when I store clumps rather than storing single tubers. So for potting on, I put compost at the bottom, add my clump, and then I cover with compost again. I ensure that the tubers have about 1 inch of compost above them, and that generally works. One thing I wanted to mention is, in addition to making sure that the tubers have about 1 inch of compost above them, it is also important to note that if your compost is dry, like the compost I'm using in this clip, you do need to water. I would suggest watering just the once. Just water, make sure you water it well, and that's it. However, if you've got wetter compost, then there is no need to water, as you will see in the second clip. And that's it. No need to water again until I start seeing some green leaves. All I have to do then is place them on a sunny windowsill, and here we go. This is how it looked not long after. When the leaves are out, I start watering whenever the compost feels dry, which is usually around 3 days, depending on what the weather is like. But generally, that's it. And here we go. We've got our first flower while the dahlia is still in the house. And as you can see, it's looking absolutely brilliant. I had to place it on the floor so that you could see it all properly. But yes, there we go. And I didn't really pinch it out or anything, but it still comes out bushy. So all I have to do now is make sure I harden them off, which means putting them outside so that they get used to the outside temperature. And then I can plant them out again for another season of many blooms. Thank you for watching this video. I hope your dahlias are doing well, and if you don't already have dahlias, I hope you consider adding them to your garden. Take care everyone. Thank you. Bye.